Three, two, one. Let's go. So, hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode on the George Habib podcast. I am clearly George Habib, and today's topic will be, in my opinion, a pretty important one. And that is to do with closure. Not closure just itself, specifically why we don't need closure when it comes to relationships or other things like that. So before we get onto the topic, we got to ask, what is closure? Closure, based on some definitions I checked out, is basically the desire to have knowledge of why something ended in order to avoid ambiguity, in order to avoid uncertainty. And that basically means, like, when we break up, for example, when we lose friendships, when we don't get a job, when something doesn't go the way we wanted it to, we need to know why. We've got to have that answer before moving on. And guess what, guys? We don't have to. And I'm going to start with, like, for example, breakups. So a lot of times when people want closure, it has to do with interpersonal relationships from what I've experienced. When it comes to a breakup, people just want to know, or rather, they need to know, why did this relationship break up? What caused it? How could I have changed? How could we have prevented this? What are you doing with your life right now? Have you moved on? Did you stop loving me? When did you stop loving me? Do you still care about me? Did you ever love me? Why? How could this have happened? Like, things like that. When we want closure in a relationship, we need to know what that person was thinking. And it's not just like a breakup between boy or girl. It also applies to friendships. Why did this person stop talking to us? Why did they leave? Why are they no longer my best friend? Why are they no longer my friend? Why do we no longer hang out? When we want closure, we need to know those reasons. We have to know the cause. It's an obsession in our mind. We can't move on without learning it. If we just could speak to that person one more time and they could tell us exactly what happened, we can move on. And it's not just relationships and friendships. The desire for closure is also, like, inherent in jobs, career. Like, why didn't we get the job? Was my CV no good? Or why didn't my project do well in school? Is that why I got a bad grade? Or why didn't I make that sale? Why didn't I get that investment? Why did this fail? Why did I lose this opportunity? Things like this. It becomes an obsession at some point, this requirement for closure, that we need closure, whether in relationships, friendships, and other such matters. But guys, the reason I want to do this video is because, in my opinion, we don't need closure. We don't need emotional resolution. We want it. We obsess over it. We desire it. We crave it, but we don't need it. Because we got to look at why we are aiming for closure when we break up, when friendships end, and things like this. Why do we want this? And basically, there is the stated reason, which is like, oh, I want to learn to be a better boyfriend later on. I want to learn how to be a better girlfriend later on. With my future friends, I want to learn how to be a good friend, because this friendship obviously failed and it could have been me. And, like, oh, I want to learn how to be a better employee. What do I need to learn to improve? So for things like being an employee, getting a job, getting into college or university, for a project or a business venture, sure, feedback always helps. That's why there's surveys. But when it comes to relationships and friendship, we don't freaking need closure. Because let's be honest with ourselves, guys. Why do we want this closure? Why do we truly want an answer, a conclusion to a breakup or the end of a friendship? Is it we want to be better with future people? Is it we need closure because then the next step is moving on? I call freaking bullshit. We don't want closure. We don't need closure to be better. We don't need it to move on. We want closure. The key word being want, because number one, we want to get back with that person who left us. If it's a person we broke up, if it's a person that broke up with us, we say we want to just have a final chat. We message them endlessly, we text them endlessly, we call them when they clearly don't want us to call, and we say, please, please, you can leave, you can move on, but let me know why this ended so I can move on, so I can get on with my life. That's bullshit. Guys, we have to be honest with ourselves, because I personally am guilty of this. I have done this in the past, where I have had a person ghost me. I've had an ex ghost me. I've had dates will never really become dates, and I've bombarded them years ago with texts saying, why, at least give me an answer so I can move on, at least tell me the reason why I wasn't good enough. And guess what, guys? I never cared about their answer in the rare occasions where they did answer. Some cases they never answered, rightfully so. I wanted them to talk with me, so again, I could convince them to either take me back or go out on a date with me. And I see people do this every time among my friends and among people I know. I see them say, "Look, I just want to become a better person for the next person," but that's bullshit. They really just want to try to manipulate the other person into giving them another chance. They want to tell that person either, I'll improve, I promise I'll improve, please come back, I'm scared of being alone. They don't say that last part, they think it. They say, I'm going to improve, but they think, oh, I'm going to be alone. And then, like, or they bring the person back and then they gaslit the shit out of them. They tell them, yo, your reasons are not legitimate, those aren't the real reasons, you're just insecure, come back, I'll take you back, let's move on. That's reason number one. Reason number two for why people feel this burning desire, this desperate need for closure, like a junkie needs drugs. And guys, this analogy is very appropriate, is because these are terribly insecure people. It sucks someone left. I know how much a breakup sucks, especially when you get ghosted or don't have answers. I know how much a friendship sucks, especially when you think at the end of a friendship sucks, especially when you think everything goes well or was going well. And I understand that insecurity that I had or I have and I'm still working on, that insecurity to like know everything, to have all the details, to like not leave that not possess that ambiguity that leaves you questioning years after a breakup, years after the end of a friendship, and years even after not getting a job, where it's like you're alone and you wonder why was I bad? Am I a loser? Am I dumb? Am I ugly? Was I too fat? Did this person think I was very unattractive? Did they never love me? Did they stop loving me? Were they just using me? Like, see, already all these questions are coming to mind. And people who are insecure desire closure because they think it will close off these questions. They think it will end these questions or make sure these questions don't come up randomly in the future. That's why these people desire closure. These anxious people or insecure people desire closure, and in some sense, like, crave it because they think it will resolve their anxiety. They put a lot of pressure on that person who left. They put a lot of pressure on the thing that didn't work out because they need to know the answer. And guys, let me tell you, as a person who has received the answer sometimes and who hasn't received the answer other times, it has had practically no impact on my anxiety. Even after people clearly state why it didn't work out, even after people clearly stated why they felt the desire to end contact, I questioned their answer. They told me why, and I questioned it. And I wasn't even satisfied with what they told me. Why? Because at the end, it wasn't an anxious situation. It was an insecure situation. The person who got broken up with, the person who got unfriended, who got left, or who didn't get what they wanted, they are the source of insecurity. They are the source of anxiety. No answer will ever calm that. If you don't get an answer, you will come up with assumptions. If you get an answer, you're going to question the answer and come up with assumptions anyways. So basically, these are the two most reasons in my experience for why people want closure, not need, they want it. They either want to manipulate a person into coming back by pretending they're moving on, pretending they want to be a better person. They think it'll give them one last Hail Mary shot at getting that person back. Or they think, or no, wait, or they are anxious as hell, nervous as hell, insecure as hell, and they can't live without knowing why, even though they'll question it anyways, even though it changes nothing. And sometimes it's a mix of both. The anxious person cannot bear to be alone, so they pretend they want closure from the other person so they can have another chance at getting that person back. And then when that person comes back again, if they come back again, they question everything. Guys, if you were broken up with, if you were unfriended, if you didn't get a thing you wanted, if you were ghosted, many of these things have happened to me. If you have experienced any of these reasons, you don't need closure. You need to move on. There are real people out there who truly deserve closure, who truly are justified at getting closure, and they will never get it. And usually these are people who their parents have either left them when they were babies, they got put up for adoption, or even these are people who have dealt with the sudden death of a loved one. Like maybe their parents died in a crash, maybe their sibling got shot, maybe someone in their family got cancer, and like maybe someone's life ended so suddenly that they never got to resolve anything. These are the people who truly deserve, I'm not going to say need, but these are the people who truly deserve closure, and they're never going to get it. It's never going to be resolved. They have no choice but to move on and live with it. This does not apply to the people I'm talking about mostly in this video. This does not apply to someone who got dumped, unfriended, who didn't get what they wanted. No. Guys, getting closure is not the step before moving on and being a better person. Getting closure is such a false need. It's such an obstruction, obstacle to moving on. The need, the desire for closure is a rope, is a chain around you, chaining you to the past. It's holding you back. You need to move on. If that person dumped you, if that person unfriended you, let's be honest, guys, usually the answer is obvious. If you do some personal self-reflection, the answer is quite clear. Have you guys been fighting a lot? Have you been ignoring the other person? Have you been a shit friend? Did you break their confidence? Did you break their trust? And it's not even just you. Is that person a shit person? Was that person a shit girlfriend, boyfriend, friend, confidant, confidante, whatever that word is? Did that person cheat on you? Did you cheat on that person? Does that person have unresolved family issues? Does that person have unresolved emotional issues? Does that person have trauma and cannot prioritize a relationship? These are all things a person can figure out without getting closure. These are things a person can like realize without begging the person who left for a resolution to make their mind clear. These are things you can learn yourself once you have moved on and developed fully as a fully functioning and strong and stable human being. You don't need closure. Closure is holding you back. The desire for closure is holding you back. And once you get it, it does nothing. Move on. Move on. You lost your significant other, work on yourself, work out, study more, read more, do your hobbies, start a business, get into art, figure out what you really need in your life to live by yourself, to be happy by yourself, and then find a person in a similar circumstance and then add your happiness. Accumulate your happiness together and make it grow together. You don't need to know why it ended. You know it ended. That's enough. And you can figure it out yourself. The answer is usually very obvious. What you need is to move on, become better. Sometimes the people you've moved on from will come back and they'll open up about their side and things like this. And sometimes they'll never come back. They will never tell you what happened and you won't get a resolution. That's why it doesn't matter. Take it out of the picture, throw it in the trash. Don't expect it. You get it. Oh, that's interesting. Like you get it in the future. Someone tells you in the future, oh, that's interesting, but you don't need it. The only thing you need, move on, work on yourself, love yourself, figure out your own personal issues. Are you manipulative? Are you insecure? Are you avoid emotionally distant? Are you needy? Figure out these things, work on them, and move on. Build firmer relationships, build more mature relationships and friendships where you can avoid all this drama of needing closure. And guys, yeah, that's something I've been through. That's something I've seen in others. And out of all of it, closure has done nothing good. We've got all we need to know right here. We just need to practice some self-awareness, some self-love, and some self-care. So guys, someone dumps you, someone unfriends you, someone, I don't know, something doesn't work out, move on. You don't need to know. You want to know, and it's an unhealthy want. And that's basically all I have left to say on this subject. And yeah, I guess the episode over. Thank you all you guys for listening to this. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It helps us build this growing community, and stay in tune for more interesting guests and introspective topics. See you all.